guys and dolls, it's Cora, and today I'm bringing you the final installment in my Halloween series. This is a flapper look, in case you couldn't tell, very 1920s, and I did take some liberties with the look, kind of taking inspiration from the recent Gatsby movie that came out, which, P.S., is one of my favorite books of all time, and I loved the movie. Even though it was a little, but I love Luhrmann as well, so I love that kind of like wild ride, and I knew it wasn't going to be like a period movie or anything. Anyway, so I took some liberties with the makeup, but overall it's actually a very authentic makeup in terms of the shape and the color of the lipstick, even though it's like, whoa, but really women wore pretty bold makeup in the 1920s. By today's standards it wouldn't maybe seem so outrageous, but women really went wild in the 1920s because makeup was finally acceptable, and the whole flapper thing and feminism and drinking all the booze and the parties and the oh my god, it's so exciting. This look also works fantastically for any kind of cabaret costume, for just a random Tuesday when you need a smoky eye. This look is a little bit Liza Minnelli, it's a little bit Louise Brooks, and as such it's one of my favorite videos I've ever done. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I appreciate it so much I can't even begin to tell you. I'm so happy that you guys have enjoyed my Halloween series this year. I had such a blast doing it. And if you'd like to learn how I created this look, let's get started. Okay, so first things first, I already moisturized my whole face, and now I'm going to start with my brows. For a 1920s style brow, there's a few different ways you can go with it. I'm not going to go for something authentic or anything because I don't feel like covering my brows. I don't know. I can never make it quite work. If I didn't mention this, I'm using Spike Brow Pencil from MAC. Nice dark chocolate brown. And then take a Q-tip to erase any extra. Next, I'm going to take a brow gel through the entire brow hair situation. Next, I'm using a small brush and some cream concealer just to clean up that bottom edge and to sort of conceal any brow hairs that maybe are kind of getting left below the Mason-Dixon line, if you know what I mean. And then I'll use a flat-topped brush like this just to smooth that out so that there's no weirdness. For an eyeshadow base today, I'm using the Milani Eyeshadow Shadow Eyes Pencil in Almond Cream, and then just blend that out with your finger. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and start working on my eyeliner. I'm going to bring that across the whole lash line, trying to get it really close in those lashes, just wiggling it on in there. I'm going to take this little eyeliner smudging brush and do just that, smudge it, and I'm really going to start to bring the color up a little bit in the inner corner. But mostly I'm just going to smudge it out in the outer corner. And add a little bit more here on the inner corner because we're going to raise it up. So following the natural contour of my eye and using that as sort of a guideline for where the curve should be. And now at this point I'm going to use a base eyeshadow. This is just a creamy kind of color. And I'm just patting this all over the lid, and that's going to stop the eyeliner from continuing to transfer to my upper eyelid. For the eyeshadows today, I'm going to be using a combination of these three colors, which is a matte black called Corrupt. This one is a warmish brown called Mocha, and this is a light tan, warm, again in the tone, called Latte. These are all from Makeup Geek. So I'm just sort of picking up a little bit from each color so that I get like a little melange of the three. And then I'll start dragging that color down a little bit, creating an almost like a triangle, because the look of the day was sort of a downturned eye. So to create that effect, what we're doing is we're creating a heavier contour in the outer portion and then tapering it off so that the eye looks more downturned. Whereas what we do now is more like darker color out here and then a lighter color usually on the inner corner. Then I'm bringing in just a regular old blending brush and just softening that up. You can go ahead and blend it out a little bit at this outer corner, but you want when your eye is open for that to not show. Or at least that's what I want. Now I'm going to draw a little bit of a point here on the end of my eyelid or eyeline, and then I'll connect that to the bottom here. Take a small brush and just define that, and then I'm going to bring this over across the whole lower lash line, but not putting it in the waterline. And then you can come back with your smudge brush. And I'm using my natural, eye folds as a guide of how low I'm going to take that. See how my eyes are starting to look sad? I'm just going to define that outer little bit a bit more. So I'm going to apply this a little bit more. It sounds kind of weird. That out a little bit. Excellent. For my face, I'm going to be using a cream primer from MAC. This one has a really high SPF content, so it's good for protecting the skin. And it also really works well with a powdered foundation. Works kind of like a little Velcro for it. What's interesting is the reason why we call it foundation is because back in the day, which was a Wednesday by the way, women would put on a cream base that was sometimes tinted or sometimes sort of translucent, and this would be the base or the foundation for applying their powder over, which was most women's only, you know, color product that they would put to like correct their skin tone. So that's why we call it foundation. By my powder foundation, I'm using a velour powder puff. I'm going to press it onto my skin. Obviously this is way too much, I'll be brushing it off. I need a little concealer. Just finish patting on. Oh, I got it on my hat. Eh, oh well. So once a woman would have her face fully powdered, she'd then go in with a powder brush, which looks nothing like a modern day powder brush. It looks more like a hairbrush. Then she'd brush away all the excess powder. So that's what I'm doing with my modern day tool, which is a really lovely brush from Hakuhodo. So now to get back to the eyes, I'm going to use a white pencil on my inner rims to make them nice and bright and vivid. This is a Palladio pencil, and I think it's called Whiteout. Yes. So with the eyes, I wanted to give you guys two options. The first is this one here, which is the more authentic, just sort of dark charcoal kind of colors, whereas this one is a little more glamorous and more in line with the Gatsby movie that came out earlier this year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some pigment to my eye, but I'm going to use a Kleenex to protect my eye. Now, a fun fact about Kleenexes, they were actually originally developed as a feminine hygiene product from a brand called Kotex that you might have heard of, but they didn't go over so well back in the day. So they actually rebranded them and repurposed it to create facial tissues for women to take off their cold cream. And they now call them facial tissues or Kleenex. Fun fact. So I'm wiggling this right here up to that line that we had before. And then again, I'll taper that color down. This is a Makeup Geek pigment and it's called Insomnia. And then just to blend that out, I'm going to take a little bit of Latte. Again, I'm blending that down, so we still keep that sort of downturned look. And then I'm going to take a little bit of that pigment along this bottom edge here as well. So using a pair of red cherry lashes and some House of Lashes lash glue, I'm going to apply this pair of false lashes before I put on my mascara so that I can put the mascara over it and everything's nice and harmonious. Now, in the 1920s, women actually did have false lashes at their disposal, and generally they looked sort of like this. They were sort of sparse and were more for creating length than volume. Next, I'm going to apply this little tiny pair from Red Cherry. These are number 503s to the bottom lash line, and again, I'm going to use the natural crease in my eye as a guideline of where to place it. And then I'll sort of flip this one up so it doesn't get, you know, glued down onto my eye. Flip down a little bit, but not too much. You gotta fiddle with it a little, but not too much. Then I'll take my Perversion pencil and put it above where I have the lashes. That way we have the green poking through on the bottom, but below it just looks like a really thick lash line. So now that my eyes are done, I went ahead and put my wig on. This is the Cocoa wig from Carmen, and the color is 1B, and it's very Louise Brooks-esque. I love it. I did cut it a little bit just to give it more of a Louise Brooks-esque shape. I like cut down the bangs and everything, but anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do for lips is apply a lip primer. Lock that on. And the next thing that I'm going to do is take a little bit of my face powder from earlier and pat over to set the lips, because I'm going to be reshaping my natural lips a little bit today. That is hot. For my lips, I'm going to be using Anita Lip Tar, and I have a little bit here on a palette. You just get a little bit on. This is a angled brush. This is actually like an American painter paintbrush that you can get at like Michael's or wherever you buy craft supplies, Hobby Lobby. For the lip shape that I'm creating today, I want the peak to be the same angle on the outside as it is on the inside. So I'm going to do the inside portion of the peaks first. I'll start drawing that down. So I'm sort of underdrawing it here at the top here and then overdrawing out at the outer corner. Then I'll fill in the top lip. And then as I'm starting to fill it in, I'll press my lips together, and then that is where I'll fill in the bottom, and I'll skip the actual outer edges of my bottom lip to give a more balanced look. In the 1920s, it was less important to have a full looking lip and more important to have a very balanced looking lip. And in fact, a lot of times women would not actually take their lipstick out to the outer corners, resulting in what was called like the bee-stung lips, where they were kind of more in the center. And this actually came about because makeup artists were doing the makeup for actresses in a movie, and the makeup would kind of smear out to the outer corners and look all funny. So yeah, kind of an interesting fun fact for you. So then after all of that, I clean up my lip shape, and what I do is I sort of edge it with a little bit of my face powder, but sometimes that can create sort of a weird line. So I'm going to come back with another brush and then blend that out so there's no like weird line there. I'm going to fill my little freckle back in because that's what I like to do, not because it's necessarily part of the costume or anything, but that's just part of my daily makeup routine. For my rouge today, I'm going to be using this one from Tarte. This is Blissful Amazonian Clay. A little bit of that on the brush. This is kind of a lighter blush, so you sort of need to dig into it to get some color. Place this on the apples of my cheeks and work it back. Ah, and that brings me to life. Looks a little less gothed out, although I did kind of like the gothed out look as well. If you're doing an authentic flapper girl look, don't forget to rouge your knees. Some other interesting places where flapper girls would place rouge would be on their ears or even the palms of their hands. Remember that matte skin was the bee's knees, so give yourself one last powdering before you leave the house. And don't forget to bring your compact and your powder puff in your evening bag, and then you're ready to have a rip-roaring time. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I loved creating this. This is a video that I've been planning for such a long time, and I'm like, its time has finally come. I love the costume, but this is also just a really great makeup look in general. It's a little bit goth, it's a little bit cabaret, and it's a little bit authentic to the 1920s because women, finally, it was somewhat socially acceptable to wear makeup even if you weren't a prostitute or stage performer, and so women really went wild and wore some, for the times, kind of crazy things. By today's standards, maybe tame, and that's why I kind of punched it up to make it a little more bold for today's makeup, but they actually had dark, red lips, like really dark colors, and they lined their eyes in the dark black, I was gonna say a bad word. And that'll about do it for me, guys and dolls. I hope you're having a fantastic day. If you like this video, please thumbs up and subscribe, and I will see you guys in a couple days with another video. Remember to be vintage or tacky. Just be yourself. See you, bye.